What is up, Party Chat Sports? Just one of your hosts, Caleb Gill, doing a solo episode here for you this draft season. That's going to be a lot of what you see on the feed these next couple of weeks. We'll get some free agency stuff, some team building things out there, but a lot of what you're going to see here at Party Chat Sports is draft-related content. Drew kickstarted the draft season for us at Party Chat Sports with his full first-round mock draft. So make sure if you want to go see that, you check that out on our YouTube. But today, yes, we're going to do another mock draft. We're going to do a top 10 mock draft. We're only going to go through the top 10 picks because after that, it's kind of difficult. It gets really difficult after that. I mean, even the top 10 is difficult to predict, right? If I could predict the top 10 here on with less than a week left in the month of February, then ask me for the lottery numbers, right? It is that difficult to predict. We're going to try. And then I'm going to walk you through my thinking, my logic here. But let's get right into it with the first overall pick in the 2025 NFL Draft. And quarterback seems to be the way to go, right? Tennessee Titans need a quarterback. That much is clear. But you have a new general manager. And the quarterbacks in this class are not that great. I'm going to harp on that throughout the entire draft process. They're not that great this year. You have Cam Ward, who I think is a first-round QB. But if any of the guys drafted in the first round last year were in this year's class, I think they'd all be better than Cam Ward. I think Cam Ward would be number 2 to any of those 6 that went in that first round last year. That's just how this class stacks up. I think there are 2 quarterbacks that are going to go in the first round this year. Where they go, we'll see. But I really think it's only going to be 2 guys max in the first round this year. And do the Tennessee Titans, are they the ones that start drafting quarterbacks early? I don't think they are. Like I mentioned, they have a new general manager, so he's going to want to build it up. Go and get as many good players as you possibly can. Now, the issue is, general manager's new, the head coach is not. The head coach, even after 1 year, is on the hot seat. Fair or not, Coach Callahan is on the hot seat for the Tennessee Titans, so he might want a quarterback that he can mold and develop, but also, because he's on the hot seat, they might be more likely to go get a veteran anyways. I think you just got to build up the roster. You have to build up the roster. You have to get one of those blue chip players in this year's class with that first overall pick. Now, Drew did mention that this class may not be loaded with blue chip. There's a lot of green chip players. But you have the first overall pick. Are you really going to miss out on one of the few blue chip players in this class? I don't think so. So that leaves you. If you're not taking Cam Ward, who are you taking? It comes down to Travis Hunter and Abdul Carter. Travis Hunter is a really good prospect because he is good on both sides of the ball. Is he the best corner? He might be the best corner in this draft. It's probably him, Will Johnson are the 2 best. He's a good wide receiver. I think he gets drafted as a corner, and then they use him as a wide receiver from time to time. I think that's the easiest way to use Travis Hunter. You draft him as a corner, and then bring him out there to play wide receiver every so often. Abdul Carter, though, is the edge rush. Having an edge rusher is one of the most important things that you need for an NFL team. The 3 most important positions, or position groups, in the NFL is the quarterback, protecting the quarterback, and anyone who can sack the quarterback. With that said, you look at how the Kansas City Chiefs, where Mike Borgonzi came from, built up their rosters over the years, and they built up that defense in part by trying to get after the quarterback. Did they ever have a stand-up edge rusher? It's been a couple years since they've had D. Ford or Frank Clark, but they tried. I do think the Tennessee Titans are going to go defense. We got Abdul Carter as the first overall pick in the 2025 NFL Draft. Fills the need for the Titans. They desperately do need a corner or edge rush help. They need help there on the defense. I think this provides them with that help. So Abdul Carter going number 1 overall might be a shocker right off the board. You look at number 2, and it's like, all right, well, this might be where a quarterback goes. The Cleveland Browns. They haven't had a franchise quarterback since Baker Mayfield. But if you're the Browns, do you feel confident in Cam Ward or Shedeur Sanders? Or do you go with a position of need and a talented player? One of those blue chip players. Again, you're hoping that you don't have a top 2 pick. And I think this team is going to probably get a veteran. Give me Travis Hunter, number 2 overall to the Cleveland Browns. So that means the top 2 picks I don't think is going to be a quarterback. We'll see. The combine is a week away. It's next week. So we'll see what news comes out of the combine and how much my draft ideas change from that. But right now, I don't think there's a quarterback worthy of a top 2 pick, and I don't think a quarterback goes top 2. I think the best 2 players in this draft go 1 and 2. Abdul Carter, number 1, and Travis Hunter, number 2 for the Cleveland Browns. This is where things get interesting. And actually, these top 3 teams are probably looking to trade down. They're probably looking to trade down. If Cam Ward and or Shedeur Sanders is on the board, they're probably looking to trade down with a team that's desperate. Like a Raiders, maybe it's the Jets, maybe the Saints, right? A team that's looking for a quarterback and wants to get up in the top of the draft. I think those top 3 picks are looking to trade down and acquire capital. No trades here today. We'll see how long it takes for us to get some trades going here in the mock drafts. But right now, we're not doing trades. So they're staying at their picks. The New York Giants, what do you do? Well, you got a general manager and head coach both on the hot seat. What they should do is probably bring in a veteran. And they probably still will. They'll bring in like a Russell Wilson or maybe Matthew Stafford. See who's out there. Aaron Rodgers. Keep him in New York. But it's going to be enticing. You know, the biggest issue that the Giants have had is their miss and their huge whiff at quarterback and how much that's plagued them. The domino effect that signing Daniel Jones for the extension has had. I mean, they just watched the guy they didn't invest in, they chose Daniel Jones over, win a Super Bowl with your rival. So, if you're the Giants, you consider a quarterback. Again, I don't think Cam Ward is top 5 worthy pick, but once that top quarterback in the draft starts falling, it's like, all right, where's he going to land? Is it going to be like a Kenny Pickett slide, or the EJ Manuel slide, where quarterbacks just are not going until the teens, or does one finally go in the top 5, top 3? And I think this is where the Cam Ward landing spot. I think Cam Ward goes number 3 overall to the New York Giants. They need a lot of help, but when head coaches and general managers are desperate and they don't have a quarterback, they do everything they can to acquire a young quarterback because they can then go to ownership and say, like, well, we just got this young quarterback, we're trying to develop him. And in theory, it might give you an extra year or 2. Now you go look at what's happened with the Bears, Panther. Like, teams a lot of times historically don't do that with rookie quarterbacks when they're in that almost like fight or flight mode where they're just trying to save their jobs and they take a quarterback and attempt to save their jobs. It usually doesn't work out that way. But I could see the Giants thinking they can save their jobs by taking a quarterback here. Now, I will say, if Cam Ward were to go number 1 or number 2, and the Giants are staying here, I think the Giants then just take Abdul Carter or Travis Hunter. Cam Ward's the only one that I think the Giants are going to consider at 3. So, if he's gone, you probably take the guy that didn't get taken in the top 2. So that's my top 3 so far. It's Abdul Carter 1, Travis Hunter 2, and Cam Ward 3. Now let's get to the remaining 7 picks. The New England Patriots don't need a quarterback, so the only way quarterback gets taken here is if they trade out. I do think they go offense. They're going to look to build around Drake May. And I went back and forth on offensive line or wide receiver here. I ultimately think with the amount of cap space the Patriots have, they're probably going to fill that wide receiver pass catch threat need in free agency. I think they're going to overpay for somebody, whoever's going to hit the market. Maybe they trade for Gill Samuel, maybe T. Higgins they can I mean, I know he was franchise tag, but maybe they make a move for him. Who knows? Chris Olave could be out there. I think the Patriots are going to try looking to get their weapons in free agency and through trade, and then here they'll draft an offensive. Plus, you look at Mike Vrabel. He wants at what worked in Tennessee for Mike Vrabel? The run game, the offensive line. I think they're going to take Will Campbell. I got Will Campbell going out of LSU, tackle, number 4 overall, with the New England Patriots. They're going to try protecting their investment in Drake May. I believe they're also going to address their wide receiver needs through free agency. This is where I think the first wide receiver goes, unless you're counting Travis Hunter. I got Ted McMillan going to the Jacksonville Jaguars. And you might be thinking, like, well, why would the Jaguars take a wide receiver here? They just took one in the first round last year. You've got an offensive-minded head coach in Liam Cohn. And what Liam Cohn had in Tampa Bay, granted it wasn't all season, but was 2 good wide receivers in Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. You have Brian Thomas Jr. Can you get somebody that's got a different skill set? He's a bigger frame, he's a bigger body, different skill set than Brian Thomas Jr. That's like there's some methods that people use in building the wide receiver room where it's like you build it like a basketball team, like a starting five. You have your point guard, you have your forward, your center, like you have the different body types and playing styles. The Jaguars, with the offensive-minded head coach, go the offensive route here at number 5, and I think they do. I think this is a Ted McMillan landing spot. They're going to try. There's some faith. They're trying to restore faith in Trevor Lawrence, so you got to get him as much help as possible. I also think you could take a tight end here, like Tyler Warren. The best quarterbacks in the NFL have a tight end that they can rely on. Patrick Mahomes, I mean, how much money has he made by throwing to Travis Kelce? Patrick Mahomes is great, but he's also, like, tight end is a staple. So that's something to consider throughout the offseason. Is teams with young quarterbacks, do they take a tight end because of how important tight end actually is in an NFL offense? The Ravens with Lamar, like Mark Andrews, he's always been reliable except for that catch against the Bills. You have Brock Purdy with George Kittle. Tight end is important. It's a good safety net to have. I mean, who was Tom Brady's buddy that he brought over to Tampa Bay? Brock. So, tight end is important. I could see the Jaguars going tight end here. Ultimately, I do think because it's an offensive head coach, they are going to go offense. Ted McMillan, number 5 overall. The Raiders went back and forth with this one. Like, is this a Shedeur Sanders landing spot? It could be. I think what's going to happen with Sanders is he's going to fall. And a team is going to make a move up. Do the Raiders try getting back in the first round to take Sanders? Probably not. I don't think the Raiders pull the trigger on Shedeur here, on drafting him. I think you have Pete Carroll, who's a defensive guy. Legion of Boom in Seattle, right? You're going to want to try building up that defense. And you just want to get good players. Sometimes you just need to get good players in the building so that when you do find your quarterback, the foundation's set. It makes things easier. So I do think the Raiders go defense. I think this is where Will Johnson, corner out of the team up north, goes. You got the Raiders taking Will Johnson. Now I've got another Michigan player going at number 7 overall, Mason Graham, to the New York Jets, the defensive line. The Jets do need defensive front. They need help up front. They need defensive line help. Right next to Quinn and Williams. I mean, the cupboard's bare after Quinn in the defensive rotation. You have a couple edge guys in Will McDonald, in Jermaine Johnson, but you do need more help up front. You need to fill up that front 7. I think Will Johnson is one of the best players in this draft. I think falling here to 7 would be a huge win for the Jets. Fills the need, and he can slide right next to Quinn and Williams and they can have some fun together trying to get after quarterback and stuff the run game. So Will Johnson goes 6, and then Michigan player or Michigan teammate Mason Graham going 7 to the Jets. We're going to stick with the defensive side of the ball here with the Panthers. And again, this is another spot I thought about Tyler Warren, because the Panthers are going to try building around Bryce Young. Do they go and try getting him another pass catcher in Tyler Warren? The other thing, too, to keep in mind with this draft class, so I think the tight end depth of this class is good. You can find a Harold Fannin Jr. in round 2. You can find good tight ends later on. So you don't have to take Tyler Warren in the top 10 if you feel that's a reach for a tight end, if you think that's a little too rich for your blood. Edge rushers are always good to have. Panthers are in need of edge rush help after trading away Brian Burns. They do need that help. So Mike Green, edge rusher out of Marshall, I think is going to be the pick here for the Carolina Panthers. Went back and forth between him and James Pierce Jr. out of Tennessee, but ultimately I think Green gets the edge over James Pierce. Let's go back to the offensive side of the ball. The Saints are an interesting team because you never know what they're going to do. They've got a lot of cap issues constantly. Who's going to be their quarterback? Could this be a Shedeur Sanders landing spot? That's something to consider. That, like I mentioned earlier, the Saints could be one of those teams that are trying to move up for a quarterback if Cam Ward falls. But I think the Saints are going to try adding talent to this team. And there's rumors about Chris Olave possibly being on the block. So that's a hole that you'll need to fill, even if he's not on the block. Chris Olave, as much as I love him, gets hurt constantly. He's up. He's not the most durable player. I mean, granted, guys are constantly headhunting the guy for no reason. I don't get why players feel the need to take him out every time. They're just so scared of what he can do, I guess, if he's healthy. But the Saints do need wide receiver help. They need help everywhere, to be frank. So I think this is where a wide receiver goes. You see him at Buka. But sometimes you don't want to replace one receiver with a guy that was at, you don't want to, Chris Olave just went to Ohio State. Fair or not, you may not want to replace him with the guy that also went to Ohio State. It could be a weird stench. And also, Luther Burden III just might be the next best wide receiver in this class. I mean, different skill sets, and depends on what you're looking for. But I think the Missouri receiver, Luther Burden III, is going to be picked here to the Saints as they try shoring up their offense. We round out the top 10. Sorry, you can tell it's been a minute since I spoke on a mic, I guess, because these words are kind of hard to find at the moment. What do the Chicago Bears do at 10? Ben Johnson, the offensive mega mind. Jeez. He's going to have a lot to say here. And as he should, he's trying to build a roster that can win around a young, talented quarterback in Caleb Williams. I don't think they need a wide receiver here unless they trade away DJ Moore. Keenan Allen can still get it done. And you can also get wide receivers later. And when a new coach comes in, you have to look at what they did at their previous stop. What they had before. What did Ben Johnson have before? Well, he had a tight end. A really good tight end. Really durable. Really good. Really athletic, dynamic running back. That's good wide receivers. You can go offensive line here. There's a lot that you can go offensively. The offensive line, if the Bears trade down, I can see them trading down later into the first round. If somebody wants to jump, he doesn't need to jump, I don't know, 49ers or somebody. If they trade down to the teens and can get a Josh Simmons out of Ohio State, that could be good. 10 might be a little high for the next offensive lineman. So then you go weapon. me, this is a toss-up between good tight end, Tyler Warren, freaky good running back Ashton. And let that silence for a second as you try to figure out what would you do. For some people, it might be easy, like, oh, you definitely gotta do this, or how are you even considering that when that's an option? They're two good offensive players. Both can help Caleb Williams in different ways. Ultimately, Jahmyr Gibbs looked like he was good enough to be the offensive player of the year at times. I think Ben Johnson values a running back. The Bears desperately need one. The Ashton the should have been Heisman, the People's Heisman Trophy winner, the Party Chat Sports Heisman Trophy winner, Ashton Jeanty, the out of Boise State. That's gonna be sexy. And him next to Caleb Williams should be fun. That should be a fun dynamic. He's gonna have some fun back there. Ben Johnson, the way he's going to deploy him, is gonna make some people's jobs a lot easier. Now, in the same argument for why you don't take a running back piece apply to why you don't take a tight end here. Like, you could find a good one later on, but can you find an elite one? Jahmyr Gibbs was a first-round pick when Ben Johnson was in Detroit. We just watched a former first-round pick at running back lead his team to the Super Bowl. So if you're the best, yeah, it's worth a first-round pick. Most running backs just are not. But Ashton Jeanty can be a Jahmyr Gibbs type. Now, I mean, they're not similar, they're different styles, but if they can have that similar impact, yeah, you definitely take him number 10. So yeah, that's my top 10. That's the first mock draft I have done this season. We'll see how many things change with scouting after the scouting combine. So we'll do some sort of post-combine mock and discussion probably. But let's recap the top 10 real quick. So number 1 overall, I've got the Tennessee Titans taking Abdul Carter, the edge rusher out of Penn State. 2, you've got the Cleveland Browns taking cornerback / wide receiver Travis Hunter out of Colorado. Number 3 overall, New York Giants take the first quarterback off the board, Cam Ward out of Miami. Not the Miami, that's Miami, Florida. Original Miami is Miami of Ohio, so, educate yourselves there. Number 4 overall, we've got the New England Patriots protecting Drake May with tackle out of LSU, Will Campbell. 5, we're staying with offense. Jacksonville Jaguars draft Tet McMillan. Wow, I'm really butchering this shit. Number 5 overall, Jaguars draft Tet McMillan out of Arizona. Number 6, the Raiders do not take an Ohio State corner, as that has not proved well for them in the past. Instead, they take the rival corner and Will Johnson out of the team up north. The bastards out have the sick helmets. Number 7 overall, another Michigan player, and Mason Graham gets drafted by the New York Jets. Defensive lineman fills the void right next to Quinn Williams. Number 8, you've got Mike Green, edge rusher out of Marshall, going to the Carolina Panthers. Number 9, Luther Burden III, wide receiver out of Missouri, gets drafted to the New Orleans Saints. And then to round up the top 10, the Chicago Bears draft running back Ashton Jeanty, People's Heisman out of Boise State. That's going to do it for my first mock draft this season. Second Party Chat Sports mock draft this year. Again, go check out Drew's full first round mock draft up on the feed at Party Chat Sports. We'll get this share probably Saturday, Sunday. We'll get this up there for you guys to watch and enjoy for the next week or so. Let's watch some people run fast in shorts or tights. Let's go watch some people run routes. Let's go watch some people jump as high as they can and as far and long as they can with the Scouting Combine this week in Indianapolis. I'm kind of excited to see what comes out of that. Not just draft related, but also free agency related. Like what type of news we get from the combine, stuff that leaks, stuff that's confirmed. So that's the other thing about the combine too. That's where a lot of agents meet with teams. So we'll see what type of stuff comes out from there. Stay up to date with everything going on here at Party Chat Sports. It's off season. Follow us on our YouTube, on Twitter. That's where you can stay up to date with all the episodes that get posted. You can also check us out on TikTok. Additionally, anywhere and everywhere you get your podcast. Tell your friends, tell your family, tell people that you know that love sports as much as we do to check us out anywhere and everywhere, all at Party Chat Sports. Until next time, have a great week. Peace.